Today I will be talking about the fall of the Roman Empire and how it led to major changes in European society, marking the beginning of the Middle Ages, which is chapter 9 in our book, pages 279 through 287. The Roman Empire had dominated Europe for centuries, but by the late 400s AD, it began to weaken due to constant invasions, political corruption, and economic decline. Barbarian groups like the Visigoths and Vandals attacked Rome, and in 476 AD, the last Roman emperor was overthrown, marking the empire's official fall. So society became feudal and decentralized. After Rome collapsed, Europe lost its centralized government, which had once provided security and order within the people, and with no strong rulers in control, local lords and nobles took power, leading to a system called feudalism. So this is where we see the emergence of feudalism, and people relied on their local lords for protection rather than a single emperor or government. Christianity began to spread during this period, and a large influence by the Catholic Church, uniting people under a common faith. Monasteries and churches became important centers of learning and stability in this chaotic period. Now I will talk about Charlemagne, one of the most influential rulers of the Middle Ages. He was a powerful king who expanded his empire and played a key role in shaping medieval Europe. At first he was king of the Franks in 768 and later crowned Holy Roman Emperor in 800 AD by Pope Leo III. Charlemagne became king of the Franks in 768 after the death of his father. The Franks were a powerful Germanic kingdom in Western Europe. So Charlemagne goes on to become one of the most powerful leaders in Western Europe, and during his reign, Charlemagne became the most powerful ruler in Western Europe. He promoted learning, law, religious reforms, making him one of the greatest medieval kings. He expanded the Frankish Empire, uniting much of Western Europe under his rule. One of his biggest achievements was the expansion of the Frankish Empire. Through a series of military campaigns, he conquered lands in modern-day France, Germany, Italy, and beyond. Charlemagne was a powerful king, a skilled military leader, and a strong supporter of education and Christianity. His rule shaped the future of Europe, and his legacy as the father of Europe still influences us today. Charlemagne was not only a powerful ruler, but also a great admirer of the arts, classical culture, and learning. He believed that education was essential for strengthening his empire, so he took significant steps to promote knowledge and scholarship. One of his major contributions was the establishment of monastic schools, where monks were encouraged to copy and preserve ancient manuscripts. This effort helped to save many classical texts that have otherwise might have been lost. Charlemagne opened a school in Aachen, the capital, where scholars from all over Europe gathered to teach and learn. This school became a center of learning and played a key role in what is now called the Carolingian Renaissance, which is a revival of art, culture, and intellectual life during his reign. Through these efforts, Charlemagne laid the foundation for future educational institutions and helped to preserve the rich knowledge of the past for future generations to come. So this leads us to the next slide, which is the Carolingian Renaissance. And this was a revival of learning, art, culture that took place during Charlemagne's reign. Inspired by the knowledge of classical Rome and Greece, this movement aimed to restore intellectual and cultural achievements that had been lost after the fall of the Roman Empire. One of the most important developments of this period was the Carolingian Minuscule, a new standard writing system. This script made reading and writing more accessible by introducing clear, uniform lettering with spaces between words and punctuation, something that we still use today. Charlemagne also built libraries and encouraged the education of both the clergy and nobility, ensuring that knowledge was preserved and passed down. His efforts laid the foundation for future intellectual growth in Europe, influencing the later Renaissance and shaping the course of Western education. Christianity during the Middle Ages. During the Middle Ages, Christianity played a central role in shaping European society. Charlemagne, in particular, strengthened the power of the Catholic Church, using his military campaigns to spread Christianity throughout his empire. By converting conquered people, he helped unify his vast territory under a shared faith. At the same time, the monastic orders such as the Benedictines, Cistercians, and Franciscans and Dominicans expanded across Europe. These religious communities, often supported by the Pope, played a key role in spreading Christian teachings and values. Monasteries also became early centers of education, where monks worked tirelessly to preserve and copy ancient texts. Their efforts ensured that important religious and classical works survived, helping to keep learning alive during a time where knowledge was at risk of being lost. So what is monasticism? Monasticism was a way of life in which men, known as monks, and women, called nuns, dedicated themselves entirely to religious devotion. They sought spiritual purity through a strict routine of prayer, work, study, and believing that this disciplined lifestyle brought them closer to God. Monks and nuns often withdrew from society and living in monasteries or convents where they could focus on worship and religious texts without distractions from the outside world. Their daily lives were centered around copying manuscripts, caring for the poor, and maintaining self-sufficient communities. Through their devotion, monastic communities became important centers of learning and preservation, helping to keep knowledge and religious traditions alive throughout the Middle Ages. Benedictine rule was a set of guidelines for monastic life established by Saint Benedict in 529 AD. It became the foundation for many monastic communities across Europe. Monks who followed this rule took to three important vows: poverty, they believed to own nothing personally, dedicating all possessions to monastery; chastity, they remained unmarried and avoided romantic relationships to focus entirely on their spiritual devotion; obedience, they strictly followed the abbot's authority and the monastery's rule. The Benedictine rule emphasized discipline and communal living, ensuring that monks lived simple, structured lives centered on prayer, work, and study. This system helped monasteries thrive as centers of faith, education, and charity during the Middle Ages. So some of monasticism's contribution to the humanities include persevered knowledge. A lot of the monks copied the classical texts, including the manuscripts, which helped preserve the ancient literature, philosophy, and science that we study today. It helped advance education through Charlemagne, and one notable person in today's society would be an example as Bill Gates, which is a figure that helps expand education, such as Charlemagne did in his era. Art and architecture. This era developed illuminated manuscripts, Romanesque and Gothic architecture, and religious music. Philosophy and ethics. This blended faith with reason, shaping Western moral philosophy and law. Community and society introduced communal living, charity, and healthcare, influencing modern social institutions.